get by. You know what I'm saying? You may not like, his criminal activity. You feel what I'm saying? But Nixon didn't have a problem. He was like, look, you fuck with us, it's just not gonna end well for you. So the best thing you can do is just we all stay calm, we all sit down at the negotiation table and we negotiate. And that's what I appreciated, about many things in those early days of politics. And to whereas for a young person looking at the strength of the country you live in and stuff like that, yes, at that point, yes, at those times, America was showing strength, although some of the American people just didn't appreciate it, and rightfully so. It all depends on which side of the political scheme, political argument you are on. So when it comes down to Donald Trump, and I'll land right here, when it comes down to Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, the FBI leaders, anyone, Christy Nome, trying to justify the Venezuelan strikes and stuff like that. Look how far we've come from striking those boats in Venezuela. And we were saying on this show that, yeah, he's going to start a war. He's going to start a war with somebody, because you don't do stuff like this if you're not looking to start a war. So once he tested the ground with Venezuela and then invading Venezuela, he was like, yeah, we good go. We good. We got this government not really wanting to challenge us. Congress ain't really challenging us, because what the fuck is the Democrats going to do? And excuse my language on that, but really, what are they going to do? We got the House, we got the Senate, we got the Supreme Court, and we got the presidency.
Nah, so far, player, I don't have the time. AC, if I let you up here, me, AC, Rose T, we just gonna be putting foots in you, and this combating all your inaccurate perspectives on this one. I appreciate you though, Survivor Player. I let you know that all the time, because you always pull up, you always smash the like button. But I'm gonna see if Scholar could go live later, or this Friday, or this Saturday, and we could cook over there. But no, I'm not gonna break up my show to just have nonsense up here, respectfully. And salute to everybody over in Rose T's chat. But good evening, Miss Rose T. How you doing, Rose T?
Hey, Markydan. Hey, AC. How y'all doing?
Good.
We're having a blessed evening.
Listen, I think you were very right to tell him no. I already told you I'm not mature enough to handle a debate.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw that the other day, but that's okay. That's okay, because me and AC, we go back and forth all the damn time on different things.
Till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it'd be like that. But I think it's healthy to disagree. Not even sometimes, but a lot. That just let me know AC's not a bot. But
there you go. One of these days.
I want to know your thoughts, though, Queen. The Iran war is back on. Literally, as I was talking about, there's going to be peace talks, and Iran is reviewing the U.S.'s proposal. We then get breaking news, and this was reported by the Washington Post, that Iran fired on more U.S. warships, and U.S. warships fired on Iran, and they even fired into Iran.
Jesus.
So the war is probably back on. The price of diesel is about 15 cents away from surpassing the record per gallon. We could be in hell within summer, by around July time. We could be in a recession. But let me know your thoughts.
Well, I absolutely believe that. This is by design. Nothing that's happening right now is something that's, oh my goodness, what's happening? This is by design. Not only do you have warmongers in the Congress that are totally behind this, 100%, Lindsey Graham. You also have...
And sorry to cut you off. And Democrats. One Democrat in the House, Jared Golden, who, by the way, he just announced he's retiring, which is good, because this bitch ass is going to get voted out and destroyed in the upcoming elections. It was a 214 to 213 vote to enforce the war powers resolutions against Donald Trump. And he was the one Democrat that sided with the Republicans.
Yeah, because they're all... So I personally don't believe they have any real ideology. I think their ideology is money. the electorate who are believing these Zionist principles and believing that this is, God's plan. The electorate is eating this up hand over fist, right? But the Republicans, some Democrats, even the Democrats that quietly vote are voting the right way, but quietly hoping it'll sway in the other direction because they don't want to lose their votes. This is all by design. The war fighter, all of them, they're making money hand over fist, sending poor people's kids out to die for something that doesn't need to happen. We all know this is a cover for Epstein files. We all know this is the way to fight Israel's battles. The peace talks were destined to fail. Israel never agreed to any of the things we agreed to, and for some reason we're lockstep with them. So this is by design. I don't see this ending anytime soon. I low key, I hope Russia and China intervene because that's the only thing that's going to sit us down.
China is not going to do shit. They're an export economy. This war is hurting them, and if there were to be like a global war, it would destroy them. But I understand what you're saying, because we have an orange idiot who, like you see in his background, is getting dog walked by Netanyahu, who has all the Epstein files, who has all the dirt.
Donald, why haven't you attacked Iran yet? If you don't attack soon, I will release the Epstein files.
Okay, BB, I'll do whatever you want.
That's our president of the United States of America. Every goddamn chance BB gets, he bends him over and he does what he does. And it's a goddamn shame. It's a goddamn shame that he has sold out every goddamn promise he promised.
Latino for Trump. I will vote for Donald Trump.
I actually got to side eye the people that voted for him. You believe this?
You ain't just see that clip I had up there?
Say it again.
You ain't see that clip I had up there? I will vote for Donald Trump. And all those farmers, like, they're about to get screwed because they can't afford fertilizer. They can't afford the diesel for their tractors. They're about to get screwed. Up the gazoo. And they're still gonna vote Republican. I don't got no sympathy for the bootstrap boys. The pull yourself up by your bootstraps boys. I don't got no sympathy for the bootstrap boys or the Cubans. I will vote for Donald Trump. Take your ass back home. That's where you wanted to go voting for this man. But moving on from the Iran war, it just recently, a decision recently just came down that the tariffs that were taken under the IEEPA statute, which was ruled to be illegal, it's now being ordered that $166 billion of those tariffs are to now be returned. I just want to play this video briefly describing that process.
You're probably not going to get a tariff refund anytime soon. The Trump administration is going to begin returning about $166 billion collected under a set of tariffs that the Supreme Court recently declared illegal. It also owes interest on each of those refunds, which is accruing at about $650 million a month. The only people who are eligible for refunds are firms that brought in goods from abroad and paid punishing tariffs directly to the US government. So for the millions of Americans who faced higher prices as a result of the president's tariffs, but didn't directly pay that money to the US government, they can't just log onto a website and submit a claim for a refund. The refund process underway is unlike anything in history. The US government has to pay back about 330,000 importers that brought in about 53 million entries over the past year, meaning this task is going to be incredibly complicated in the months ahead. Companies were allowed to start submitting claims on April 20th. They had to pull together that documentation, send that information to...
AC, you hear it?
Okay, well...
Yeah, I was hearing it clearly.
Maybe that's my system. Maybe I need to leave and come back.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest.
Okay, be right back.
Yeah, no problem, because it's a lot of clips I want you to hear, Queen, but I think it also might be, there's usually a button that says unmute when the clips start playing. So that might also be it. But regardless, this guy. But let me just get the gist of it. So Americans, we paid an extra $1,000 because of the tariffs last year. So prices went up. Not only that, it just. Let me let Rose T back up. But the gist of it, Rose T, the consumers are not going to get any refunds on tariffs. All $166 billion are going to go back to the businesses that had to pay money, that had to pay the import taxes to bring in stuff from overseas.
Well,
So I just want to be clear. No, but hold on, before you go, AC. I just want to be clear. Americans last year, because of the tariffs, paid an extra $1,000. So whether you had to get car parts that had to be ordered from overseas, you paid extra money on that. Whether it be food or bourbon or different things you got to get from Canada or Mexico, we get auto parts from over there. You had to pay extra on that. Or vanilla from Madagascar, you had to pay extra on that. Or the tariffs on coffee beans from Brazil, you had to pay extra on that. Americans overall, according to the American Tax Policy Institute, had to pay an extra $1,000 in tariffs. Now the businesses that had to pay those tariffs, and then they pass it on to the consumers. They are going to be reimbursed. So on top of the money they took in from consumers, they're now also going to get back their money that they paid on the tariffs. And just to further be clear, it's not like this tariff money it was held in like a special government account for tariffs. No, that money gets taken and then it goes to the treasury. And then it gets mixed in with all the other government funds, which is, we have none. We're running deficits. So we're going to run we're going to run another $166 billion in deficits paying back these businesses and these corporations. So the rich get off more. On top of the fact, the richest people in this country are going to further get off more with the Trump tax cuts that have been extended, and now they're going to get tariff refunds. That's going to increase our debt. On top of the fact, the deals that he quote unquote struck, or the framework of deals, died. So it's like there was no point to it. It's just like the people just paid extra for tariffs.
no,
That's all that happened. It was like, this is an absolute disaster for his economic policy.
It was a planned, predicted jump off. Early on, I was watching before MSNBC became another wing for Donald Trump or whatever, or they started to bend the knee. Right before things got really weird with Rachel Maddow, she does these little things that says, watch this space. And she didn't do it on the show. She did it online, like her own, out of her own home studio. And she was talking about how the tariffs will make millionaires into billionaires, and billionaires will collect even more money. Because the thing is this: if you go back and look at the housing market crash, right? And then all of those things got bailed out, which then that housing market crash is the catalyst for creating the progressive and having the rise of the progressive socialist movement, because it was first labeled as the Occupy Wall Street movement and things like that. Elizabeth Warren, many key players were in it, and things like that. And when you look at that market, they knew what was going to happen. But the bigger companies, the too big to fail companies, started to bet on the fact that this shit was going to fail, because that's when you short the market. Once you short the market, that's one of the fastest ways to make money in stocks. You're just betting against the guy's success. And you betting against the guy's success, and you're a major company, Guess what that does? It almost guarantees that they don't make it. Some companies come out with the mere fact of, yeah, we're doing what we're doing, but guess what? We're hoping that the major companies short us so we can make money and then go ahead with the bigger plan that we're going to do. Now, the point I'm saying this is the tariffs was shorting the American public to the tune of this. You know the law and all the statutes say even if Americans come out their pockets and pay more, there is no direct mechanism that we have to give this money back to the American public because there are no laws on the books. There is no precedence. So we can get away with this, have the American government pay these tariffs for us. We collect all of this extra money from these tariffs, and then when it's time, because we know that they're not doing what they're not following the government procedure and how to implement tariffs, and the Supreme Court's already did us a huge favor by voting against them. Oh my God, when all of this hits the fan, we're gonna be looking at millions and billions of dollars that are just gonna fall in our lap. Because yeah, we're paying out, but we're collecting while paying out, and now we're gonna collect 3 times the amount on the payback. Oh, this was a brilliant business decision. Oh, kudos to all my little MIT, students and stuff like that figured this shit out for me.
You said it right there, AC. This was a long game. And then, like, the crazier part is, before I let you come in, Roasty, Howard Lutnick's son, who runs his investment brokerage bank, they were trying. He had his brokers basically floating trades to people where they would trade their rights to tariff refunds for about, like, if they paid $10 million in tariffs, they were gonna say, "Hey, we'll buy 100% of your tariff refund rights for $2 million." That's the type of shit that they were floating in the beginning. Now they're saying they didn't go through with that, but that's the level. Like, that's how predatory these people are. That they were not only they not only knew they were going to collect the refunds in the end, but they were also going to bet against the tariff or bet against the tariffs in the beginning. So not only could Trump and his corporations and the different wealthy business people that invest in the administration, knowing that they were going to get their refunds, even the investment brokers were trying to bet against the tariff refunds, knowing what was going to happen, knowing that the tariffs were going to get refunded anyway. These are some fucking scary ass people. But Roasty, I want to get your thoughts. Roasty. What's your thoughts on the predatory nature of the game? I mean, it's a dog eat dog world. This is the world of the free market.
Right.
And they run this goddamn country. It's a shame.
That's true. That's very true. I can honestly say I don't have a lot of knowledge on the tariffs. I just knew going in that it was going to be something that fucked the American people, because that's normally how anything that's handled, by capitalism is constructed, to fuck the American people. So I don't think, without even seeing your clip, I don't think we're going to see one red cent. It's not don't expect it anytime soon. Don't expect it at all, because they have it set up to where the American people, there's a structure in this country where they need a certain amount of people at the bottom so that the people at the top can continue to rise. And so they will keep us poor and broken at the bottom. There's a reason. And I remember the last live you guys did with the boxing scholar, and we were talking about, or you guys rather, I was in the audience, we're talking about just basically a certain income level to even get any kind of public assistance. It's designed to keep us broke. So we're never going to see that money. It is designed where people can cut corners and they can go and buy somebody else's debt or buy somebody else's refund, and then they can, capitalize on it while we are still broke. So we pay into things, we never see a return on our investment, and then we still end up having to pay on the other end when the prices inevitably do not go back down. That's all I got on that. I don't have a lot on the tariffs.
Absolutely. I hear.
Well, I
It's
just
just a
wanted to say,
goddamn crying shame. Like,
I just
gee,
wanted
this
to
is
say, I just wanted to say this on the opposite side because my sector is the restaurant industry. Most of the innovative, energy efficient equipment is coming from Europe. Many countries right now that I speak to on a regular, not countries, but equipment companies that are in other countries that have some of this amazing, amazing stuff. They're like, no, at this point, we're not doing business with the USA. You're gonna, the equipment is gonna be under tariffs, so we're not interested at this time with even shipping one because it might be, you might be paying, if their piece of equipment costs 10,000, you might be paying $30,000 to get it. And I was like, wow, that's madness. When it comes down to food, like Marky was talking about, that's where I'm a person that says, you know what, deal with local farmers. You don't have to deal with tariffs. But if you're
right.
dealing with these large food companies that like Cisco Food, who pretty much supplies all of the supermarkets globally. US Food or Cisco Food are the two major companies that supply the majority of supermarkets and stuff like that, grocery stores. These
Right.
companies are jacking up prices just because they can. The tariffs are not really hitting certain items, but the middleman knows, and the greedy middleman knows that, hey, if it's on this side, I can make money. You look at uh what are these people called? Uh the building guys. Why am I brain farting so bad today?
Contractors.
Yeah, contractors. You got contractors who are saying, well, it's the tariffs that are making, the price of this
And shit,
job
you
more
got to get
expensive.
lumber from Canada. You got to get a lot of concrete mixture comes from Canada. I mean, shit, that's just how it is.
And yeah, in that vein, yes, you're absolutely right. But if you're talking about building green, and this is where, for me, I'm always in this space. I know LEED. I know what LEED is about. I remember when LEED first came about after the hurricane that hit the Midwest that destroyed that whole town, Grainsville. So LEED came about because of that. If you build LEED in this country, you're only using sustainable wood sources, and most of those sustainable wood sources actually come from America.
Right.
So at the end of the day, what the problem is they're telling us all of these problems, but no one, and this is where I keep saying the populist talk, because the populist talk goes like this: yes, the economy is bad, gas prices are very high, you know, this government is not doing what they're supposed to be doing on both sides. The Democrats won't make deals and the Republicans are pushing too hard. That's the populist talk to get everyone, feeling something. Oh yeah, that makes me angry. It's both sides of the government, and yeah, we need to do something about this.
The Trump populist talk is it's
No,
other
I'm
country,
just
it's
saying the
immigrants.
populist
No,
talk
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
on
Go
both
ahead, finish
sides.
up before I go. Go ahead.
Yeah, so real fast, no one is telling you the absolute answers. The absolute answers are sustainability. But you can't push sustainability because then they're going to call you tree huggers and all of this other stuff. And whoever's pushing the sustainability type stuff is not going to get elected. That's just the reality. The smarter you are, the least likely chance you will have to be elected because stupid people believe stupid shit. And
And
that's just the reality of it.
that's just the unfortunate truth of it. Because tariffs, all you have to do is just literally watch a 5 minute video, and they'll explain to you how stupid tariffing the entire world is.
Yeah.
And I broke it down to a really simple, and I'm gonna break it down to a really simple equation for you, Roasty. Um, let's say you're in the burger business, and I'm not going to include any of the costs of doing business like rent or security or paying X, Y, and Z taxes or paying X, Y, and Z inspection costs and whatever and all that great stuff. Let's just say you're in the burger business and it costs me $8 for burger materials to get bread, to get burger meat and all that burger parts and all that great stuff. And then I pay $1 for labor. That means it takes me $9 to put this burger together, and then for a worker to put it together and put it out and sell it to the public. So in order for me to make a profit, I would have to sell it for at least a profit of $1. I would have to sell this burger for $10. Now, if Donald Trump comes in and he puts a 40% tariff on burger parts coming from Indonesia or wherever the fuck, that adds about 40 cents to the burger parts cost. So now the burger parts are going to cost $8.40. So now to put the burger together, it's going to cost $9.40. So now on my profit, I'm losing 40 cents. So I can't run a business like that. So I can either pass the cost on to the consumers and make the price of the burgers $10.40, or I can cut back on my labor and I can cut people's hours, or I could fire people and bring my labor down from $1 to 60 cents. Either which way, this is not a good way to run your economy, because you need strong labor and you need affordable prices for your economy to work well. You need affordable prices so people can be out there buying things and pumping money into the lifeblood of your economy. This fucking guy put his foot on everybody and every goddamn material that everybody needs coming from anywhere. And it's like, listen, tariffs are not inherently bad. Like I said earlier, China has an unbelievable and affordable EV car market. So if Chinese EV cars came over to the US and were being sold in mass, that would hurt our EV car industry and our automobile industry in general. So there's nothing wrong with placing tariffs on that to prevent dealerships from buying those cars and hurting American companies. But it don't make no fucking sense to place tariffs on coffee beans when you don't make coffee, when we don't produce coffee beans in the United States of America. It don't make no fucking sense to place tariffs on vanilla and bananas when we don't have vanilla and bananas in the United States of America.
Right.
So that's the whole, it never made any sense from the beginning. If you're gonna do tariffs, you need to be strategic about it. This guy, there's nothing strategic about this guy. He's just a big fucking dummy with a big fucking mouth.
Right.
And his thing is, if he wings it enough and he's confident, that's one of my things that my mother taught me about Donald Trump. Because when my mother was getting her business major, she said that she loved Donald Trump back in the 80s and 90s.
Really?
Because Donald Trump said, even if you got a rusty piece of crap 1950s Ford, you take that rusty piece of crap, you shine it up as much as you goddamn can, and you sell the hell out of it. And you come forward with delusional levels of confidence. And that's what this guy did. He saw, people did not look at the fact that tariffs are a rusty piece of crap.
Right.
That was never going to make it down the fucking road. That wasn't going to make it past the block. And now here we are. I mean, any final thoughts on Roasty before I move on to the next topic?
Just that you nailed it. That's literally what it is. He's full of shit. And I am just flabbergasted that people fell for this shit again. So I have no choice but to think that maybe they didn't fall for this shit again. Maybe they didn't believe his lies. Maybe it is the racism that satiates them, because I don't see any kind of benefit that he's bringing to these people other than the privilege of you. What is it? You don't have to be ashamed to be white anymore. You know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to figure out when they was ever ashamed to be white. So I at this point, they have to know. So you're playing in my face to tell me, no, you really believe this second time around that this guy meant anything and knew any fucking thing. He's a clown. So the fact that you thought that he could lead the most powerful country in the world, or what used to be the most powerful country in the world, you're a fucking idiot yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got on that.
I just want to
Absolutely.
end off with this real quick.
Go ahead, AC. Be
The
brief though.
it's it's the old saying: you don't learn nothing from the second kick in the head from a mule. That means you should have learned the first time.
Right.
So what that means is this: let's go back to his first term, because I always say it's a plethora of history and a plethora of precedents within his first term. When he dismantled the Canada and Mexican deal, within that Canada and Mexican deal, all of these soybean farmers and these commercial corn farmers, we grow corn that we can eat, and we grow corn for soy lecithin, which is used to grease grill the drills that drill down for oil and stuff like that. It has a strong chemical usage in the commercial space. Same thing with these soybeans. These soybean farmers signed multi-year deals to have their soybeans and their corn uh, be on this market, be on this global market. Through these policies, we had direct people that were gonna buy X amount. So you had a quota. The same way, if people sit there and look at um, uh, the crab show, the crab fisherman show, Deadliest Catch. Each one of
Yeah.
those fishing boats has a quota. Neither one boat is there to get all the crabs. They have to split it. That's kind of how things were working with the soybean market. Then when you change that, you then screwed all of those soybean farmers over. Then your second term, those same guys voted for you in the second term, saying that yeah, he's
The
gonna fix
bootstrap
it now.
boys.
Yeah, the bootstrap boys. Then he tariffed those countries, ensuring that now they don't even want to deal with you. No one is buying USA commercial corn or USA commercial soybeans. That shit is just dying in the fields. And
And
these
the
farmers
crazier part,
are
AC,
looking.
we sent $40 billion. We did a currency exchange with Argentina. We sent them 40 billion USD, and then we took their piece of shit pesos, which they're probably never gonna pay down on. And after we subsidized their economy, because we tariffed the hell out of China, China went to Argentina and bought their soybeans.
Yeah,
And after we tariffed the hell out of Brazil, China went and bought Brazil's soybeans
yes.
and said, F the American farmers.
Just completely shut us out of the market.
Right.
That's why this stuff is dying in the fields, and these American farmers
And
is
they're going to
like,
vote for him again. Like, that's the thing that kills me about these dummies.
yeah. It's like, bro, this man just ruined your entire life. Your
Right.
generational wealth that you were trying to create, and the original contract, you would have created that generational wealth through farming, through agriculture. Now all of that is completely gone, wiped out, because the world don't want your soybeans. In fact, the
Right.
world is saying, you know what? The Brazil soybean and the Brazilian and the Argentinian soybean has a lot more substance to give. So we can stretch this stuff now at a longer usage. So he just screwed over huge sectors of agriculture, and at the end of the day, this is why they're gerrymandering the crap out of everything. And I don't want to get too ahead of anything, but you can understand why they're gerrymandering. It really ain't got that much to do with black voters. That's the distraction. You're gerrymandering so you can stay in power, because everyone knows how bad you're fucking up this economy. And everyone knows that you screwed over American farmers. And these American farmers are furious with you.
Now, the Arkansas, Alabama, those farmers are probably still going to vote Republican, but Iowa, Nebraska, oh, I think they're coming up for a big. I think those Republicans are coming up for a big surprise. I think we might be able to flip a Senate seat in Iowa this upcoming November. But
What
moving
they'll most
off.
likely do is just stay home.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only that, they're pissed. They're really pissed in Iowa. Like, they're really pissed after that broad got on stage, Joni Ernst, the senator, if she got on stage and they said, but Joni Ernst, people are going to die if you cut Medicaid. Oh, everybody dies eventually. Stop. Just chill out, bro. And she had to resign after that. She had to resign from running again. So,
As she
like, no,
should have.
but still, this is not good for people that are not in the same tax bracket as Donald Trump and Jared Kushner. We have
Right.
gotten screwed, and we're gonna just have to see what happens. But I want to move on to the Scott Jennings of it all. Scott Jennings, for those of you who don't know who that is, this is Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is a political commentator on CNN. He is a staunch MAGA cultist. I mean, like, he massages Donald Trump's balls with his tongue every single day he gets on TV. And he does it in the most, like, he is the most smug prick that you will ever see. Like, he doesn't care if he is getting beat half to death with the facts. He will just, like, do this thing where he says, oh, well, Joe Biden, and you didn't say that when Joe Biden was in office. And then he'll, like, smirk at the, turn to the camera and smirk like he knows, oh, I know Daddy Trump loved that one. So, Scott Jennings, now, on top of being one of the biggest, most smug pricks in the MAGA cultist political commentator movement, he has now decided to combine that with being a tough guy. And he got into a heated exchange with up-and-coming superstar political commentator, independent podcaster, Adam Mockler. Adam Mockler, for those of you who don't know, check him out. Yeah, I love that kid. He is great. He's a great young, I think he's 22 or 23 years old. Hasn't even been to college, but he is a great young debater. He has his own independent media company, Mockler Media. On top of the fact, I think he's a part, he might also be a part of Midas Touch as well. He is a young phenom coming up in the game. He is like, right now, he's like a young Cooper Flag. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, the two best political commentators in the game right now are Stephen Bonnell, aka Destiny, and Mehdi Hassan. Like, to me, those two are like LeBron and Michael Jordan, but Mockler is like a young Cooper Flag. Like I said, he's a young GOAT in his own right coming up. But I just want to play this exchange because Adam Mockler was on CNN and he was cooking Scott Jennings. And Scott Jennings got pissed off and decided to act like a tough guy. And then, like, literally, I think the next day, he comes on TV with I think his name is Michael Eric Dyson, and acts like a tough guy again. I just want to play this, then give my comment.
I was only a few years old while you were in the administration defending prior endless wars. Now this war is failing.
8 weeks is endless to you?
Okay, you said it was going to be 4 to 6 weeks.
You have the attention span of a gnat?
Homie, I debated you on TV 4 to 6 weeks ago, and you said we were weeks away from it. Now you're making condescending remarks because you can't defend the fact that this war is not going your way. Wait, one more time.
Not going your way.
One political concession. Name one political concession.
Hey, whoa,
Honestly,
guys,
I'm not going to have this guy's in my face.
Everybody, hang tight,
Honestly.
okay? No, everybody calm down.
A few moments later.
You've done an analysis of walls. Are there any lies that Donald Trump tells that you are disturbed by?
I don't want any politician to lie ever. I wish they would all tell the truth all the time.
That was a Kamala Harris ovation. What is a lie that Donald Trump
Look, first of all, I don't answer to you, and I don't answer to you. That's number one. Number two, it is my sincere. Well, I don't answer to these two guys.
You know, I want to resolve this with you putting your finger in my face. Let me finish, sir. Let me finish. You put your finger in my face and you were aggressive and you said you don't answer. Let me ask you a question, though.
I don't.
You don't ask me a question. I thought you told us, Abby, that we all should speak among each other, not wait for you. And if it's all right,
you're going to ask me for my number after the show?
Hang on, Scott and Michael.
Brother, don't start.
In the spirit of conversation at the table, we're going to...
I mean, did you see that? Like, this guy, first of all, Mockler's finger was not in his face. I just want, where is it? Here it is. Adam Mockler's finger was well away from his face. Okay? Then with Michael Eric Dyson, look at him. He leans over and puts his finger in his. Let me say something right now. And I am not advocating for violence against Scott Jennings. But, bro, you do not get to be a smug prick and a tough guy. One of these days, he's going to fuck with the right one on the right day. And I'm not talking about Adam Mockler. Adam Mockler is 22 years old. He don't got no kids. He don't really got no that many bills to pay. So he don't really got that level of anger in him. I'm talking about one of these grown men like Michael Eric Dyson with a wife and kids. One of these days, Michael Eric Dyson might find out his wife cheated on him, or he might find out one of his kids is just doing stupid shit, and he might come to work pissed off. And I'm telling you, one of these days, they're going to go to commercial break, and one of these dudes are going to put hands and feet on Scott Jennings. They're going to test that tough guyness. Because I'm telling you, Scott Jennings is a fucking punk. He's a punk. And I'm going to go into what, let me just do it right now. So on top of being a smug prick and a fake tough guy, it's now been exposed. And I got this information by way of Rose T. Shout out to Rose T. That Scott Jennings is now being exposed as an undercover fudge packer. This is from a Mr. Chef Joe Guerra. And by the way, Mr. Chef Joe Guerra is not, or just Mr. Joe Guerra, however you want to say it. He is a chef. He owns a catering barbecue business called Keystone Barbecue out in North Carolina. And this is somebody with a serious business. This is somebody who has received awards for his cooking from Food and Beverage Magazine. So this is not like just some random person on Twitter with nothing to lose just running off their mouth. Joe Guerra exposes Scott Jennings as an undercover fudge packer. I'm not playing, and I'm going to read these tweets. And I want to thank Rose T for sending this to me because I probably wouldn't have even noticed this. Like, this stuff is about 12 days old, and I didn't even catch on to this. Somebody who's as tapped into the news as me. But let me read some of Chef Joe Guerra's tweets. It says, "Hi, Scott. You may not remember me from my Broadway performing days in NYC, but you're a complete lying asshole. So here it is. Scott Jennings swings both ways. Not that I care. Who gives a crap? But he's lied about this since 2009, and there are at least 100 photos of him at Fire Island bars from back in the day. At Adam Mockler, ask him about this on CNN next time." Oh my God. It continues. He goes on, "Scott Jennings is a liar. He was a liberal Republican and hitched his wagon to his orange master because Trump blackmailed him and there's money there. If you want to know how Trump gets away with crap, just ask anyone who performed in the arts between 2002 and 2010 in NYC. He blackmails everyone. Good news, Scott. Now it's out there, so you can be honest." It further goes on. He says, "Remember when you stumbled out of the trailer park, which I guess is a bar, at 4 a.m. with a guy named Richie and kissed him for 30 minutes at karaoke night? Remember when you hung out at the Playwright and tried to take over some dancers, which I assume were men? Oh, then there's the extensive hanging out at Pravada, which is a gay club in Houston, Pravada on Houston, which I think is a gay club in D.C. Remember those frosted glass bathrooms? Yeah, everybody else does too. I want to let you know that threatening Chris Murphy, who, by the way, Chris Murphy is the senator, and Scott Jennings essentially said Chris Murphy was guilty of treason because he had a sarcastic post about the Iran war. And Guerra goes on to say, Chris Murphy, a genuinely good person, has pissed off. Scott Jennings threatening Chris Murphy, a genuinely good person, has pissed off a lot of people who are going to blow up your spot. Take it down and apologize. Let's see if I get served with a cease and desist. Bring it. But I'm not your biggest problem. I'm just a messenger." And this man goes on even further, AZ. He then goes on to drag the Trumps into it. He says, "Another fun fact for those people who I know that will reject this. I went on 6 dates with Ivanka Trump when I got to NYC from London. She thought I was hot in the show I was in at the time and waited backstage for me. I was broken up from my significant other at the time before her, and I got back together. And I got back to together. Well, I don't know what he meant by that. Yes, I've met the orange asshole. Told her her dad was a piece of shit and didn't want to see her anymore. So bring it. So he wants all the defamation smoke. He wants them to sue him. He wants this shit to go to discovery. And guess what? Scott Jennings has yet to respond. This is not some Twitter troll. Like I said, this is a real business owner with assets and stuff to lose. And thus far, they've had nothing to say. But I just want to say, if you want to pack fun, listen, I have a belief that this is a free society. The government should not be involved in your bedroom, and you should not be involved in regulating anybody else's bedroom for that matter of fact, even if you're a private citizen. If you want to pack fudge. But be open and real about it, bro. Don't be out here bashing gay people and bashing LGBTQ people, and then in the back, you the one packing fudge. I mean, the other week, we saw Lindsey Graham at Disney World by himself. A 60-year-old man, no wife, no kids. We then see J.D. Vance, his stuff getting exposed. That he used to be a cross-dresser back at Yale. Brian Nome, Christy Nole's husband. We find out he's doing all type of freaky shit.
Big breast Brian.
Big breast Brian. Mike Johnson. He's been speculated on for a long time. We also know Donald Trump getting exposed for blowing Bubba. What is with all these dudes and just bashing gay people, and then it turns out they like to swing that way behind the scenes? Just be your regular self, bro. If you want to be a fudge packer, if you want to pack fudge, listen, I believe sexuality is a spectrum. Okay? What might be fun to me is not fun for somebody else. What might be weird as hell and freaky as hell to me might be the most fun thing another person could ever fantasize or imagine about. If you want to pack fudge, go do that. This is a free society, Scott Jennings. But the main thing is, bro, don't be a fudge-packing punk, a closeted fudge-packing punk, and then act like a tough guy and a smug prick all at the same time. You are going to get destroyed one of these days. One of these days, somebody with the photos and the receipts are going to destroy you. Or Donald Trump will just get, we'll see that Scott Jennings maybe said something sideways towards him, and he'll leak a photo out there or something like that. Something of such. But this is just, I just have no words. Rose T, I want to come to you first for your reaction because you gave me this information about this man being an undercover fudge packer. I want to get your thoughts, Rose T, about this guy who acts like a tough guy, but then takes it where the sun don't. But then again, to take it where the sun don't shine, you got to be a tough guy. You got to be really tough. So I don't know. He might be. Well, let me get your thoughts, Rose T.
Well, you never know. He could be a top or a bottom, so you're not quite sure on that one.
He's a bottom. He's a bottom. He don't give off top energy to me. He's a bottom.
So I tell you like this, I don't judge. I do not judge at all. I think everybody's business should be their own business, and if they decide to share, they share. Unless you are somebody who is hiding in the closet and pointing at someone else and making fun of someone else, trying to take away somebody else's rights while you are secretly in that society. Yes, name and shame. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. So tell it all. I really low-key hope he does give this chef some grief so the chef can spill everything he knows, because you best believe if he's saying it, there's a receipt somewhere. Right? And the more he talks about it, somebody else gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember. Oh, he said what? Oh, okay. And so it's gonna be out there. And I really hope they do it to all of them. Lindsey Graham especially. The bills they get behind, and they privately try to take away women's rights. They try to take away the ability for same gender loving people to marry each other, to include each other on their insurance. Just all kinds of ignorant, ridiculous stuff that has nothing to do with you. It's none of your freaking business. And the fact that he's using his white privilege to point in Michael Eric Dyson's face, because Michael Eric Dyson, as a black man, knows in this country, you got to think 10 steps ahead. And if I punch you in your face for putting your hand in my face.
Eric Dyson wanted to put hands on you. Could tell by his face.
He absolutely did. And you saw every thought go through his brain of, this ain't the time. Just dress him down, put him in his place. get him another day. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact that he can just so boldly do something like this, yes, I really hope that this doesn't die here. I hope that it gets wings and legs and grows. And then I hope they knock everybody else out of that closet while they're at it. Anybody that's being blackmailed right now because you're too scared to live in your truth, yet you're steadily snatching away rights and privileges from people who don't have your position of power. Oh yeah, I want you out there.
Other dudes like before I come to you, AC. Other dudes like that. We discussed me and AC, and even me and you, Rosie. We discussed Greg Gutfield, Jesse
Mm-hmm.
Waters over there on Fox News. Those two are a couple of fudge packers. You can't convince me they're not. And with how like fanatical they are about defending Trump, and Mr. Joe Guerra's quotes about if you were in the performing business between in the 2000s, you would understand why people act this way. I get it now. And then
Mm-hmm.
Benny Johnson, me and AC, we talked about Benny Johnson on the channel before, him exposing himself that he gets gay ads, which would only
Yeah.
happen if you're going to gay porn sites.
And then the
These
white
dudes,
stuff that
it's
need to
like,
go out and speak on it, like homegirl, you making it worse.
I mean, it's like, bro, why not just, but like, it's the level. It's like, this is what makes, like, this stuff really makes me believe that the devil is real. For these guys to be so blatant about bashing gay people, and then in the real time, they're fudge packers themselves. Hey, AC, I'm gonna come to you. Firstly, I want to know what you. I mean, like, firstly, if you were on this panel and you were Michael Eric Dyson, as soon as that, I could imagine you would get up and tell Abby Phillips, "Yo, go to commercial break right now."
No. Abby Phillips would actually have fell out of her seat because of how hard I smacked the shit out of this dude for putting his finger in my face. I'm like, listen, we having a conversation. All that Tony Tough guy that you think you about, I'm gonna really show you. Because if I'm not correct, I believe Michael Eric Dyson is a New Yorker, born here. So he will put hands on that. He will put hands on old boy. Easy. It's just more so probably the reason why he didn't do it is because of his age. You let that have been 30-year-old Michael Eric Dyson, he probably would have smacked the crap out of him.
Nah, he from Detroit, AC. Michael Eric,
okay, so that makes it even worse. So all I'm saying is this. For me, when I'm pretty much in the same boat as Rose T. There was a point in my life, right, where because of how I was raised and because of hip hop and because of everything that was brand new. Now, mind everybody, I'm old enough that when hip hop started, I was alive. I don't even think I was a teenager. I might have been 12 years old or whatever, or somewhere around that when Rap is the Light and everything came out and all of that stuff. And we were all us young, minority kids was just blown away by this new culture that was presented to us in this new form of music. And that bred a certain machismo, a certain mindset, men, and we hip hop and we got to stand up and yada, 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 black pride and all of this kind of stuff. So there was no real room. It wasn't until I got into this restaurant called Kiss. And this is where I may have a little issue with old boy calling himself a chef. And I know you did not come up in a restaurant, so you cannot call yourself a chef. You're a cook or a caterer. And I have that issue with anybody, even one of my good friends, Josh.
I respect that. I respect that because you could really talk about it. It's like you a soldier, you've been in that field. So
exactly.
I get what you say. I respect it.
So I'm not going to make that the issue, but it's just my little pet peeve. Within that space of me working at Kiss, where I was hired as the executive chef, Kiss was the most popular gay restaurant on all of the East Coast. I had no idea about it. You know what I'm saying? But something felt funny when I went downstairs the day I was hired, because I didn't go down in the basement. I just was in the dining room and everything. beautiful looking restaurant. I'm just sitting there like, why are all the waiters, all the servers here men? Like good looking men, no Diddy, like men that look like they go to the gym. Everybody had on like tight shirts and stuff like that. And I'm like, whatever. It's just the East Village. It's just the village. I go downstairs, there's a glass statue made by Andy Warhol, right? And the glass statue is a man, and they have like maybe a 12 or 13-inch straight light bulb that was the penis. And I'm just looking at that like, okay, where the hell am I? What is this restaurant? So the waiter Norman comes in, and I'll never forget this dude. And Norman comes in, the gayest French guy I've ever seen in my life. You know, like sparkle glasses, the whole 9 yards. And I'm looking at this dude like, oh my God, the fuck is that? So me and Norman wind up becoming cool. And within that space of working at KISS, it changed my perception that all they want is love. They want to love the same way I love my girlfriend. They want to love and marry the same way I want to love and marry, you know, my first child's mother. So it was just like, wow, this is different from me. This is a culture shock. And it changed my perception on how I felt, even how I felt about a gay person sitting next to me on the subway. And I was just like, wow. I think my entire existence needed this experience. That's why I looked at the ad, knew that I would get the job within 15 minutes of talking to these people and presenting them with my resume and stuff like that. And that's basically what happened. I wound up working at KISS for over a year, got them into New York Times, got them a New York Times review and stuff like that. We got 2 stars, but you know, after we got the 2 stars, they decided to close because things got really weird about the LGBT community and stuff like that. And I think this was around the time where only the LGBT community was actually given a permit to do the Halloween parade because there was never a fight and all of this other stuff. And then all of these straight males were coming at them all kind of sick ways. Somebody broke the window of the restaurant and the owners just was like, we're shutting it down. And I was like, yo, good luck to everybody. It's a great learning experience for me. So moving on to this guy, there was that point in my lifetime where it was a thing to out someone gay. You know, because the LGBT community was like, well, listen, if you're gay, just stand up, join the movement, and be proud of who you are. Don't run around and give your opinions on stuff knowing that you're gay, you have a lover. That was extending to NBA basketball players, Major League Baseball players, the amount of football players that came out, NFL football players that
I
came out
remember
to be gay.
the first NBA player that came out. That nigga got a call from Obama.
Yeah.
And he was like the 15th man on the team. So
Yeah,
I'll let you know how important that moment was.
So just go back and remember that. Now, the first in my life, the first openly gay politician was Barney Frank, the co-author of the Dodd-Frank bill, which Elizabeth Warren worked on. Barney Frank was openly gay, and you know, once he became gay, and it was him and Joe Biden who pressed Obama like, look, bro, you got to get on the side of LGBT, the same-sex marriage thing. That's going to be a big issue, so you might as well get in front of it right now. Obama was against it, but then when when he got on board, I believe Barney Frank's wedding was at the White House, or the president overseen, or it was in DC somewhere, where he got married to his partner. And that was like a big thing, you know, during the 2008, 2009 Obama presidency within his first term. So there is like, I don't shame him. I don't actually feel comfortable trying to shame him and stuff like that. But when you have politicians out here trying to pass laws and being super anti-gay, you know, those are the guys that I say, you know what, go after that motherfucker, because I'm telling you, out of all the gay people I know, they would be like, my gaydar is telling me he is gay as hell. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
where I'm gonna land the plane real fast is this: politicians have a right to whatever sexual preference that they want. What you don't have a right is to antagonize, pass laws to discriminate, knowing that you're still within that same vein, and you are the person who are going to go to the rich, exclusive places to where you're always going to be in a closet, and you're going to shame everyone else. Tell someone else, no, you don't have the right to get married. No, you don't have the right to be loved. But I'm gonna go to this island over here where the average cost of the hotel room is $10,000 or whatever, and I'm a do my best impression of a Diddy freak off with Baby O that I possibly can think of. Meanwhile, I'm passing laws against you, and you and I are in the same boat. So that's the issue I have with a person like Scott Jennings. Just be yourself.
Absolutely. Be yourself. Stop shaming other people for being themselves, and then you in the back packing fudge or getting your fudge packed. And what I'll say, and it's so amazing. This is my brother in the chat. Well, my good friend, my partner, no evidence 340. He's from where I'm from. I think he might be from St. Thomas. I'm from St. Croix. He's from the Virgin Islands. We don't play that stuff. I think it's gotten better, but back when I was growing up, there was no tolerance for any form of LGBTQ activism or for anybody even acting like they were gay. Okay? I've told this story before, but I've actually seen a gay man get lynched in front of my eyes. Okay? I was driving it. We were driving in the truck, and this dude was, I think he was like the cousin of somebody who of somebody's friend within the truck, and he needed a ride. And I don't know why he chose to sit on top of like the middle console, like where you put all your shit inside of, like in the front seat, because it was a packed truck. It was like 6 of us in the truck. And every time we hit a stoplight, they started beating this nigga over his head. And it's not funny, but they started beating him over his head with bottles, book bags. By the time we reached by the basketball court, they took this nigga out the car, continued beating the hell out of him, and then they hung him up on a basketball court, and we left. And I saw that happen in front of my own eye. I seen when they brought a cruise ship down here, and there was a gay couple by the balcony. There was literally kissing on the balcony. There was gonna be a riot. Like the merchants that were on the dock, where they welcome everybody in and they selling stuff, they were ready to tear down their stands. People were going home to get machetes, to get knives, whatever, to get conch shell, whatever they could bring, because they were not gonna let them off the boat. Now I say it's gotten better, but I don't judge anybody for what they do behind their closed doors. Okay? Because there are worse things in this world than being gay. You could be a thief. You could be a murderer. You could be a rapist. Which our president is all three. On top of being a closeted fudge packer. So I don't judge nobody for what they do. On top of the fact, I found out that my godfather is gay. And I found this out really late in life. I thought like he has his partner for years. I thought that was just his really good friend from college or whatever. I thought that was like I thought that was his business partner. I find out that that's his partner.
Yeah.
And I had to sit there and be like, do I really care? Like this guy gives me $100 for every birthday. I give him a hug every time, even now that I'm 26 years old. I still hug this man and I run to him when I see him. Like I love him to death. So, and when no evidence makes this comment, I understand where that comes from. But I think that like we as human beings, we have to understand that we need to move past this. We're not animals. We're not necessarily biologically predisposed to any one thing. Humanity by itself is a spectrum. You find a different spectrum of cultures and beliefs. And you even find, and like I said earlier, you find spectrums when it comes, a spectrum when it comes to sexuality. What might be fun to me is not fun to somebody else. And what might be freaky and weird as hell to me might be fun to somebody else. So Scott Jennings, Mike Johnson, Lindsey Graham, come out in the light. Like Rose T said, that sunlight is some of the best disinfectant you could have. Stop shaming gay people and then getting your fudge packed in the background. Be real with yourself, bro. Be real.
What's the Spanish guy who was who was always lying and stuff like that, Republican, that the Republican Party accepted him?
George Santos.
George Santos. So George Santos had the makeup, he had the cross dressing, like he had the lipstick, the eyeliner, the whole 9 yards, and the Republicans fought tooth and nail so George Santos wouldn't lose his seat. So what we're saying is simply this: if you have an issue with gay people, that's a you problem. You can have that issue as long as you want to. Your issue could be based on your religious belief. Your issue can be based on your community beliefs, or whatever, or a combination of both. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm not telling you you're right. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm telling you me as the individual who I am. I've had experience with working with them. Like Markydan said, one of a family member of his, through marriage or relationship, is gay. My cousin Charles, who passed away.
My sister's gay.
Yeah, my cousin Charles, who passed away. His mother Lucy was gay, and she had a partner. I thought, that's why I laughed when Marky said, I just thought they were good friends. I just thought, like,
swear to God, I see my whole life.
Yeah, we just thought that, they were roommates. Like, these were just two women that lived together, like, like women you see on sitcoms in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't think of it like that until it was her son Charles who told us, no, my mother's gay. And we were like, nah, bro, that's nah. They just live together. They homegirls. They share the apartment or whatever. He was like, have you ever seen either one of them date or talk about another dude? And I was like, nah. He was like, I'm telling y'all, my mom's is gay. And we were like, no, we couldn't accept it. You feel what I'm saying? So we're debating my cousin over it. So at the end of the day, it never played on us. So why should it matter as an adult? Yeah, I went through that moment,
But to no evidence, my brother in the chat, he says that it's a sin, fam. I'm rocking with God's word all day. Let me tell you something. That's the idea of homosexuality being a sin is only explored in Leviticus. So that's not a New Testament thing. Jesus never admonished homosexuality. The most Jesus ever said was that marriage was between the man and the woman, and he didn't explicitly say that. He just said that he just only talked about marriage between men and women. But let me just say this.
Hold on, I just want to give him this. I just want to give him this fun fact. It's real short.
I got some fun facts for him too about the old. But let me just say this: in the Old Testament, it talks about boiling little children in milk if they misbehave, and stoning children to death if they misbehave. It talks about a sin. It would be to mix different fabrics. That's a sin. Planting different seeds in the same field is a sin. Eating pork is a sin. Eating shellfish is a sin. So it's like, bro, like, I mean, you gotta decide which. So if that's the case, you probably violate quote unquote God's word every day.
You're not even supposed to mix material.
I'm gonna let you go, AC. So what Rose T said in the chat: judge lest ye not be judged. What Jesus Christ is, one of my favorite quotes from Jesus Christ when they're about to stone Mary Magdalene to death. He was not sin throw the first stone. Bro, it don't got, you're not the fucking judge. It don't got nothing to do with you, what them people do in their bedroom. At all whatsoever. It don't harm you. It doesn't harm your environment at all whatsoever. Leave people alone. Like, don't judge nobody and let them be what it is. Because I'm sure you probably do it. I'm sure we all do shit that if people were to know about it, they would look at us sideways. But it's not nobody's business. If you're a taxpaying citizen, you don't break no laws, you could do whatever you want to your bedroom. But go ahead, AC.
So this is what I wanted to say. You Bible thumpers, guys that thump that Bible like, oh my, you got highlighted, you got all of this stuff, and you ask a person, what version of the Bible do you read? Oh, I read the only one that matters, and that's the King James version, and blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. Did you know King James was bisexual? In his own personal diaries, he constantly writes of him taking not old lovers, young lovers. That meant more than likely these guys were under 18. And if you go back then, a friar, a young lover, even the Knights of the Round Table were humping these friars. These young boys who were under their ward. So King James constantly spoke in his own writings, his own words, of his love affairs with young men. The man was a pedo, and you're going to quote him to me about a book that he interpreted to me about gay people? Bro, do you understand the level of hypocrisy? And you don't have to believe me. Just do a simple Google search. Did King James have lovers, or was he gay? It's going to tell you there is no direct correlation of him claiming he was gay, but in his own writings, he will talk about the many young lovers he had taken.
Yep.
So do what you want with that information, bro.
Absolutely. That's a great point, AC. On top of the fact, it just amazes me. Like, even before we move on, even like modern times, J. Edgar Hoover, who is probably like when it comes to dismantling, not only black unity, he was about dismantling homosexual unity, and even having homosexuals institutionalized and arrested. This man was pretty much openly gay, almost his entire life. He had a gay partner that he had lunch with every single day. They lived in the same house. They went on vacations together. And when he died, he left everything to this man. It just really amazes me, like the level of. This is what I say. Like, I really believe the devil is a real thing. The fact people could be so wicked to each other, and then I really just don't get it, bro. I really don't. I can't even explain it. It don't make no sense.
Hey, Marky, we have to also remember this. Who was J. Edgar Hoover's partner? I mean, not his partner like that, but his partner in crime. Mr. Roy Cohn, Donald Trump's man. The guy that Donald Trump said, where's my Roy Cohn? I need myself a Roy Cohn. Both Donald Trump and his father relied on Roy Cohn. Michael, what's the name, was supposed to be Donald Trump's Roy Cohn, but he's not gay. Roy Cohn is gay as hell. Roy Cohn was actually living with another man as well.
If we're being honest, I think Roger Stone is too.
I didn't hear you, Rose.
I said, if we're being honest, I think Roger Stone is too. No man gets a tattoo of another man on his back.
No man dresses the way Roger Stone dresses and says he's straight.
Agree. And what we the people said in chat, it wasn't Hitler that was gay. One of Hitler's He was essentially, I can't remember his name, but he was essentially the commander of the paramilitary forces that made up the Nazis in the early movement before they won power. And he was like, he was training in Uruguay, and he has a bunch of letters about how he never felt attraction to women, and he's always been around men, and he's always been attracted to men. I can't think of his name right now. But even the Nazis, as homophobic as they were gay
Right?
as hell themselves. But
Because didn't they send a lot of gays to the gas chamber?
yeah, absolutely. And they sent him to they killed him off. They assassinated him off early. But that just amazes me.
Yeah, I did remember hearing about the that guy who was helping Hitler set a lot of that stuff up, responsible for the SS and stuff like that. That
Ernst Röhm. Yeah, he was the highest. Like he essentially set the foundation for the SS.
Yeah, they actually put him in one of the concentration camps and then executed him with the Jews. They were like, they found that out and was like, oh no. And I don't think
no, that's not funny. That's not funny.
The thing was,
Jews bore him out before they all got executed.
It wasn't from Hitler himself. It was from the guy who replaced him. They wanted to get him out of the way because they felt that that would be a bad look on the Führer to know that the Führer had this impurity within his inner circle. And this is when you're talking about the rise of the Aryan nation. And when Hitler got into UFOs and ancient stuff and stuff like that, they wanted to really purify his inner circle. And unfortunately, anyone who was mixed, and that's the crazy part, because you go after certain people, but your leader has that same blood in him.
That
part. Of the people that you're going after. One of Hitler's parents, and even in his bloodline, showed Polish Jewish blood in who he was. But that's when you talk about people at the grand scale of self-hate. That's where you look at a person like Stephen Miller and like, how could you be this way? This is how you look at Spanish and black men and women who
by the way,
were
this is
proud
Stephen
to
Miller.
be
This is Stephen Miller using his wife as a human shield during the assassination of Donald Trump.
you just look at them and say, you hate yourself that much that you think
by the way, this broad
something.
looks like Stephen Miller with a wig.
Yep, they look just alike. I think evil has a face.
They're just perfect for each other. But I'm gonna move on. That was a fun topic. Scott Jennings, be your real self, man. Stop hiding. Come out the closet.
Live out loud, Scott.
Yeah, stop being an undercover fudge packer. But I want to take us to the final topic of the night. This is something crazy that I've been tapped into for the past couple of days. It's concerning 11 NASA and Air Force scientists that have either gone missing or have been killed or allegedly have unalived themselves in the past, I believe, 3 years. So I want to play this video. Then I want to get into specifically 2 of them, and then we're going to comment on it.
Newly revealed messages have drawn even more suspicion about the resurfaced death of one of 11 scientists with ties to America's space and nuclear secrets, who have mysteriously died or disappeared. Anti-gravity researcher Amy Eskridge allegedly died from a self-inflicted gunshot in June of 2022, when she was just 34 years old, according to the Daily Mail. However, Frank Milburn, a retired British paratrooper and intelligence officer who says he was in contact with Eskridge before her death, shared shocking messages with the outlet. One dated May 13, 2022 read, "If you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I overdosed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I killed anyone else, I most definitely did not." Milburn says Eskridge told him that she had been the target of repeated physical and psychological attacks, including from a directed energy weapon, a device said to emit focused energy capable of causing burns or other physical harm. The researcher specializing in anti-gravity, which is a staple topic among UFO enthusiasts, also mysteriously warned in a 2020 interview that her life might be in danger while discussing her research company, the Institute for Exotic.
I started the Institute for one reason. One reason, the Institute. I started it as a public-facing persona to disclose anti-gravity technology through, because I told Mark this. If you stick your neck out in public, at least someone notices if your head gets chopped off.
Eskridge also revealed that she had been receiving threats and that she had plans to disclose information about UFOs and extraterrestrials to the public. Her death was ruled a suicide, and neither the police nor the medical examiners have publicly released any details of an investigation into her death. Eskridge's death was unearthed after an already growing web of concerning deaths and disappearances of NASA scientists and individuals with ties to U.S. space and nuclear secrets. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer warned Fox News that something sinister could be happening and that the matter raises urgent national security concerns.
Yeah, when I first heard about this, I thought, well, that can't be true. That sounds like some kind of crazy conspiracy theory. But once you see the facts, it would suggest that something sinister could be happening, and it would be a national security concern.
The disturbing cases have since sent internet sleuths into a frenzy, searching for answers about the unsettling pattern. Michael David Hicks, who worked at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Flint Ridge, California, as a research assistant, passed away at the age of 59 in July of 2023. However, there's no public cause of death or autopsy for Hicks' passing, nor any mention of how he died in his obituary, although it does ask for donations in his memory to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. 3 other scientists with ties to NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, or JPL, have either gone missing or died over the past few years, even as recently as February. On February 16, 2026, renowned astrophysicist Carl Grillmeyer, who worked on NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope, was suddenly and shockingly shot dead on the porch of his home in California. His shooter, Freddie Snyder, was arrested and is currently in jail. However, a clear motive has yet to be established. Another researcher at NASA's JPL, Frank Mywald, died in July 2024 at the age of 61. Like Hicks, there's little to no public information about how he died. JPL's former newly appointed director of its materials processing group, Monica Reza, mysteriously went missing in June of 2025 while hiking with friends in the Angeles National Forest in California and hasn't been seen since. Reza's research in materials science was funded by the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Base in Ohio, which is long rumored to hold extraterrestrial debris tied to the famous 1947 Roswell crash. The Air Force Research Lab was headed up by retired Air Force General William McCaslin, who also has shockingly gone missing. McCaslin mysteriously vanished on February 27, 2026 from his Albuquerque, New Mexico home, along with a pair of hiking boots and a .38 caliber revolver. McCaslin was also the former research commander at Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico, which works closely on national security projects with Los Alamos National Laboratory, famous for developing nuclear weapons during the Manhattan Project. In June of 2025, 2 workers from Los Alamos, Anthony Chavez and Melissa Casillas, vanished from their homes in eerily similar circumstances. Chavez, age 79, was last seen leaving his New Mexico home on foot, leaving behind his car, wallet, phone, and keys. Casillas, age 54, was last seen on camera walking alone on a highway, also without her wallet, phone, or keys, after telling family members she would be working from home, Dateline reported. Other dead or missing scientists include Jason Thomas, who led the chemical biology team at Novartis and was found dead in a lake this past March. Famous MIT physicist Nuno Loureiro, who was shot and killed last December, and Stephen Garcia, who worked on security for a producer of non-nuclear components in American-made nukes and went missing in August of last year. As of now, no federal agency has publicly acknowledged any connection between the cases. Comer shared he plans to bring the leaders of several federal agencies' offices before Congress and asked that anyone affiliated with America's nuclear program should be on alert, given the possible security risks to the nation.
Okay. So, for Rosie, did you hear that? I want to make sure you heard that. That was a lot of information, and a lot of it was just really spooky. I don't know if Rose T can hear me, but AC, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I hear you. Sorry. For whatever reason, it doesn't work for me. But I just played it along on in my earpiece while it went, so I got to follow along.
Okay, great. But
So go
let
ahead.
me say this.
What you got?
Let me say this. After I just want to make sure you heard that because that was a lot of information, and it really is just like stunning. All of these people who just so happen to be connected in some way or another. And firstly, this is a chart that shows that how each of them are connected in their own ways. 3 of them were connected to NASA's JPL program. 2 of them were connected to to the Air Force's Patterson laboratory and the Kirkland laboratory. And then 2 of them were connected to the famous Los Alamos lab that Bob Lazar was proven to am I saying his name right? AC, Bob Lazar? Is that his name?
Yeah. That's
Bob
his name.
Lazar, yes. Bob Lazar was proven to have worked that after the U.S. government tried for years to discredit Bob Lazar and say he doesn't really have a certificate from MIT, and they wiped all his information from these different databases, but they missed one piece. They managed to find a newspaper article with a picture of Bob Lazar at Los Alamos lab, which proved that he worked for the U.S. government and that he was a scientist. So just moving on further. I mean, this cannot be a coincidence that all of these people just happened to have either died prematurely. I mean, one of them got shot on his doorstep, and the dude that shot him is apparently an Eastern European. They have no they have no motive for why this man do it. He just walked up to him on his porch and put a bullet in him. And then I want to focus on 2 of these people. General William McCaslin. So I want to say one more time. A general in the Air Force, was retired at the time. Okay, was in charge of an experimental lab, and matter of fact, he was one of the generals and officials whose emails during the Hillary Clinton email scandal with WikiLeaks was exposed. AC and Rose T, and he was exposed talking about some type of device that another general was experimenting on at another lab, and talking about its capabilities are unbelievable. So we know for a fact this man had a lot of information on either on UFOs, UAPs, anti-gravity, whatever the hell. I just find it really hard to believe somebody with this amount of information did not have a security detail from the federal government. That you would just let him sail solo dolo for the rest of his life. I don't believe that. And then he leaves behind his phone, his wallet, his keys, his prescription reading glasses, and he just leaves with his boots and a .38 revolver. That sounds like to me he knew something was coming and he was trying to get the hell out of there as soon as possible. And and his disappearance was just reported in February of this year. Now, the next person I want to focus on, this young lady, Miss Amy Eskridge. Her story is so spooky. So she was researching anti-gravity, like that New York Post article just said. She was researching in the field of anti-gravity, and at least information was she was also doing some government subsidized research. So Amy Eskridge, and I'm gonna play this video. This is her having a public lecture about anti-gravity and anti-gravity research, and 2 people in the audience. To me, it sounds like they basically issue her an underhanded threat.
What about the innovator who's afraid of disappearing?
Well, Roasty, you got your earpiece ready? I'm gonna assume that's a yes. I'm gonna just play it.
Yes. What about the innovator who's afraid of disappearing?
That's a whole nother problem. I think doing it in the public is better in that case. But that's a different.
It still doesn't mean it won't disappear. Even if you do it in the public, it still don't mean that the inventor won't disappear for lots of reasons.
Like Ming Lee.
That sounded like a threat to me.
Yeah, me too.
That sounded like a threat to me. And then you at the end, they name drop. Her name was Professor Ning Lee. She was another scientist, and specifically, she was a government scientist who was researching anti-gravity, and she got hit by a car and was paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of her life. I think she died in like 2020 or something like that. So that was clearly a threat. It then further goes on, AC, in some texts, and this is the real part that makes me believe that this is real. In some texts, she discusses, she says, been working on some tech proposals for DHS for a bio threat with this whole Russia thing. Forget about blank. While I was tied up with that, someone has been burning me to a crisp while I've been working on the DHS stuff. So now I'm not sure if now is the best time to stick my neck out on TV. It's complicated. Some new kind of DEW I have not seen before. And for those of you who don't know what DEW is, that means direct energy weapon. Me and AC were watching, we watched a 60 Minutes investigative piece where they were discussing the Havana syndrome and the cause of Havana. For those of you who don't know what Havana syndrome is, it's a brain injury that was popping up amongst diplomats and federal agents out of nowhere. Like they were just getting nausea and vertigo, and then it was showing up in CAT scans that they had real life brain injuries.
Wow.
So it then, hold on, AC, I'm gonna let you cook on this. I promise you, I'm gonna let you cook. Give me 1 second. So then, in that 60 Minutes piece, we find out that the Department of Homeland Security managed to secure some type of direct energy weapon, some type of beam weapon that the Russians were using. They managed to secure it from some Russian crime bosses. So this is something that's real. And the Russians were using it to direct attacks against our State Department officials and our federal agents. And hold on, I want to play this video where she shows her injuries. She has a bunch of burns all over her hands and body.
My hands have been burned to hell and back as I've been typing. Because you can beam me through there and through there. And you can get a 3D image of what I'm typing. Because this computer doesn't have a Wi-Fi card. You can't hack it. But you can maybe get a 3D image of me typing. So like we just did that. And did that as an act of pure desperation. And guess what? I feel better immediately. Like, my hands still burn because there's damage. But it's like my body relaxed when we barricaded the shit. And it was like, oh, like relief, like immediately.
Now, if I did not watch that 60 Minutes piece about the direct energy weapon, the beam weapon that they were using to attack State Department officials, I would think this lady is a crazy person. But the crazier part is AC and Rose D. The Department of Homeland Security, they only reported obtaining this weapon through undercover sources and means in 2024. This young lady died in 2023, a whole year before they quote unquote got their hands on the weapon. I think they had their hands on it from before. On top of the fact, they put together a whole unit in the CIA specifically tasked with making people who are talking about the Havana syndrome look crazy or convincing people that it was like some type of psychological illness. It further goes on, or she further goes on. She talks about an Eastern European individual standing outside of her house.
Like, I'm scared. I'm tired. I'm real tired. So he goes out there and he's like, there's this weird fucking Lexus. It's like a silver Lexus. This is a shitty apartment. Like, why is there really nice Lexus in the parking lot? And it has tinted windows that are not street legal. Like, just totally dark, totally black tinted windows that are not possibly street legal. And so he comes back in and we're standing in our bedroom window looking at the Lexus and talking about it. And I say out loud, maybe we should walk over there later and take a picture of the license plate. Because the Lexus is across the parking lot from us, but it's backed in, so you can't see the license plate. Within 2 minutes of me saying, hey, we should walk over there later and take a picture of the license plate, we were still standing there at the window looking at it, talking about it. And an Eastern European looking motherfucker with a black beanie, dressed all in black, in his 50s or 60s, walked out of the apartment directly across from ours holding a license plate. And he opened the trunk of the Lexus and he took out some tools and he changed the license plate right in front of our fucking faces. And then he walked back to his apartment and he put the old license plate on the front patio and went inside, left it outside. And it was literally like, come get the license plate. I have more. I have more where this came from. Come get the license plate. And then after that, the Lexus started tailing me. And every time I saw the Lexus, it had a different license plate. It would be like Alabama plates, a different state plate. It would be random dealer plates, none of which were local. Just like cardboard temporary dealer plates, none of which were any local dealer.
I want to say it one more time. If I did not watch that 60 Minutes report, I would think this lady is crazy. But no. And I'm going to come to you, AC, then I'm going to go to Rose T. But I want to know I want to know each of yours, like, like what you think this is, whatever, like the craziest thing you could think of, the craziest conspiracy theory, or whatever you think. But let me just say this first. This could be, she was this close to finding anti-gravity or experimenting on, or finding an experiment that proved that anti-gravity was plausible and it was something that could really happen. And either the CIA or maybe private oil companies or maybe the Russian government, I don't know, they decided, you gotta go, lady. Because we know that there are anti-gravity UAPs out here in this world. I remember that when they released those three, when they declassified those 3 videos of those UAPs, one of which was 2 fighter pilots that were chasing down a flying object that was moving at speeds that nothing on this planet is supposed to move at. This thing was moving so fast that the fighter jet's camera couldn't even keep up with it. And those fighter jet cameras, they're designed to follow things that can move at the speed that could break the sound barrier. So the idea that something that fast is on Earth, it has to be anti-gravity science. And I believe this young lady was killed for whatever reason. I don't know why. But all I know is, we know the energy beam thing is real. We know that she explicitly said that if they say I killed myself, I did not. And then she reportedly committed suicide about a month after she gave that interview describing that Russian-looking dude or Eastern European dude in the Lexus. On top of the way Miss Ning Lee died, on top of the fact that just all of these people have either died prematurely or have quote unquote gone missing. Like, I just have so many questions. Is this the CIA? Like, we know that they failed. They failed. I'm gonna let you come in, AZ. We know that they
that's
failed.
not me. That's Rose. That's Rose. And I want her to.
Oh, my bad. Well, let me just finish up by saying this. Then I'm gonna let you come in. Right. But let me just say that we know that the U.S. military, they had a Project Blue Book or Bluebird, something like that, where they pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into discrediting UFO into discrediting UFO sightings. We know they tried as hard as they could to discredit Bob Lazar, but then history adjudicated everything Bob Lazar said as true. when Bob Lazar talked about I think it's what element X or something like that, and then they said, "Oh, it's bullshit. It's not on the periodic table." 2 decades later, element X or whatever they call it is on the periodic table. Bob Lazar talked about Area 51 and all type of UFOs and alien body parts that were stored there. Area 51 is not a real place. It's a bunch of crackpot theories. Area 51 is a goddamn real place. So we know they failed to discredit Bob Lazar. So is it now they've decided, man, if these scientists are go rogue or they don't want to play by our book, kill them. Get them out of here. We're not playing with this. We're not going to even risk the chance that Russia or China or North Korea or even our allies in Europe, we're not going to risk that they could get anti-gravity technology and experiment on it and get ahead of us on this stuff. So if you don't get in line, you're dead. And it might be that I don't know. Could it be the Russians were using the beam weapon on this lady, or could it be the U.S. government was using the beam weapon on this lady? I don't know. But something about this don't smell right. This stinks. All of these people, these high-ranking Air Force and NASA scientists and independent scientists who are top of their fields couldn't just die prematurely and gone missing like that. Absolutely not. But AC, give me your thoughts. I want your thoughts.
I'll let Rose.
Okay.
I'll let Rose T go because I just want a little bit of time to actually break this down because this is my wheelhouse. This is the thing, like all of this stuff you're talking about, and stuff like that. These are the things that made me become an atheist. So it's kind of like my thing, my jam.
Absolutely. Rose T, I'm gonna come to you. What do you think is going on? Could it be the aliens just killing these people off?
Okay, I will be quick because this is not my jam, and I have very limited, information as well as foresight on this. So I'm all ears. I am one to not believe in conspiracy theories. Matter of fact, the more conspiratorial it sounds, the less I believe it. However, 12 people going missing in like a couple of years, that is very strange. 12 people that have some type of relation, that's very, very strange. So I say I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I also don't put anything past the United States government or our so-called allies or people that have been charged to protect us near and abroad, right? CIA has forever done one-man missions to take out the Black community. So do I think that they would hesitate to kill somebody who either embarked on something new that they thought might have been dangerous, that they wanted to alert the public about, and they wanted to stop them? Absolutely. So I'm going to defer to you all and just kind of gain some knowledge. So normally not a conspiracy theorist. However, there is some smoke here and I'm willing to hear more.
All right.
Absolutely. I mean, after the Epstein stuff, I can't not be a conspiracy theorist. I just can't disregard anything that comes to me now. That's my thing. But AC, go right ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
All right. So we have to understand, like I always say, how did we get here? How did we get from UFOs, which was the standard language, because it's an unknown object, right, to a UAP, an aerial phenomenon? So if you understand right there, and this is not a conspiracy, this is just when you choose to change the title of something to change the nature of the thing. It's the easiest way is to change the name of it. So UFOs were like, oh, we're talking about aliens. Everyone knows you hear UFO, you hear aliens. Then you had this push of military people. Well, we need to know what these UAPs are. You're like, what the hell is a UAP? The guy even had, the military guy I'm talking about, even had a reality type show, like a little mini series of where he was talking to governments and stuff like that. He was the guy responsible for getting the conversation to Capitol Hill and getting some of those Navy and Air Force things released, because he was like, well, is it from another country? Is it? And for me, it was this. You change the nature of the title, then you change that thing. So here's the thing. You showed footage of things that didn't have a heat signature. So that means when you look at propulsion or any major advancement in aeronautics, or if I'm using the right word, the Wright brothers, their first flight is on record. There's video footage of it. When jets were being made and rockets and the V-2 bomber, all of this stuff was you've got video footage on it. Jets and propeller planes, video footage of it or film of it. Why all of a sudden, when it comes down to this new technology in propulsion that's supposed to be flying all over the world, where they're talking about this stuff is unknown phenomenon, it could be from another country, then where's the footage that country would say this this phenomena that they're calling a phenomena, this is actually new technology in propulsion? What would that do for space travel? What would that do with creating new jobs? What would that do in every aspect that every major aeronautical advancement has done in the public space? What would it do for it? It will create a whole new class of millionaires and billionaires. And unfortunately, that's the result of it. So the point I'm making is this. This stuff has been going on since 1950. We talk about Bob Lazar a lot, but the other guy who actually gave Bob Lazar his real credibility between those of us who are in the ancient alien theory or theography, or however you want to call it, we always go back to Boyd Bushman. Boyd Bushman actually worked for NASA. Boyd Bushman was one of the top designers. Boyd Bushman's job was to help decode some of the symbols that were found on these crashed ships. Boyd Bushman told the world that, listen, you think Roswell only happened in the USA? Russia has their Roswell. Germany had a Roswell. England had a Roswell. Every major continent that had the power, has nuclear capability, has a Roswell event. Just go through the history books and you will see it. That tells you something different. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's telling you, okay, there is an extraterrestrial presence that is interfering with humans. It's in our DNA. That's why they talk about the unknown, because there's this portion of DNA that does not match anything else on the planet Earth, and yet humans are the only ones that have it. This is why we're the only creatures on this entire planet that have advanced the way we've advanced. We build shelters, which other animals do build shelters, but we build vehicles to travel from one place to the other. Other animals don't do that. Other animals don't design intricate systems of irrigation and things like that, like humans do on that scale. We create cities. So it's a bit different the way humans act, and some you get some weird people who say some weird things. But what you have to understand about those 13 scientists, they all had something to do, whether it was lineage or just studying Project Blue Book. That's the one thing that they had in common, and they all had something in common with working with UFOs. In some way, form, or fashion, this was technology that was taken from UFOs that all of them were working on. So when you look at it like that, that tells you something is different. Now, here's the crazy part. You have directors, movie directors. We have movies. We have Spielberg, we have Lucas, and the guy, I can't remember his name, who wrote Star Trek. They all, at one point, spoke with Lazar or Bushman. And you think, how could they write these stories? When you think about Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the majority of that movie were actually taken from people's testimonies from Project Blue Book. 10 to 15 people, scientists, and people who worked on Project Blue Book died mysteriously. 15 people, and there is no explanation. The guy who found the debris, the original farmer who found the debris of the Roswell crash, he passed away. It's his son who talks about what happened to his father. And his son is now under a gag order that he cannot speak about it. So here's a name for people. And I've been trying to find the video because I saw the video on a documentary that you just can't find anymore. His name is Major General John A. Stanford. Now, who Major General John A. Stanford is in 1954, he made a statement at the Pentagon in D.C. because he originally made the statement at one of these air bases where he spoke of, and I quote him. He spoke of. I can't quote him directly, so I'm paraphrasing. Just to be clear. He spoke of the U.S. identifying at least 10 to 25 different alien species, from reptiles to humanoids. They're helping decipher their language. They're telling us where they have bases and stuff like that. So this was way back in 1950. He then comes to DC and to the Pentagon to testify of what he said on the base. He said, and he doubled down on it. This is one of the few generals and men in power that nothing has ever happened to him. That's weird. Because this man is highly, highly respected. Highly respected. And he just dropped the beans. So when overall, and this is where I'm gonna land it, when you talk about, again, going from UFOs to UAPs, there is an agenda behind that title change, because the title change doesn't match the rhetoric behind it. Could this be something that's a danger to us because other governments, this is secret, this is their top secret thing? Who flies a top secret project in broad daylight over a city? You have the lights, you had that whole UFO situation where that giant ship was floating over Arizona.
Yep.
Policemen saw it, the whole nine. That's not a UAP. That's not a
No,
phenomenon.
yeah, AC, you got a bunch of stories out of close to your neck of the woods out there in New Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, I've even filmed a couple of UFOs here in New York. I saw one that just looked like it came, and I got it on tape. I caught it on my cell phone, because the thing was just like popping in reality, then popping out of reality. And it made a distinctive sound that I thought it was a club. So I hurry up and grab my cell phone, an Apple cell phone, and I'm recording the thing. And as it's doing what it's doing and jumping from one part to another, I send it over to MUFON.
I wanna play this video. This UFO video right here. This is what made me a believer. Because my entire life, I just thought like the ancient alien people, all those, I just thought they were stupid. This video right here made me a believer.
Dude, that is a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is an LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing. It's rotating.
Okay, and that pilot, one of the pilots who was talking in that video, was like the commander of all air assets in California. He defended Los Angeles during 9/11. Okay, so these are people with credibility.
Well, the
And
Japanese
he's
pilot.
describing, and like, firstly, that wasn't the entire video, but at a certain point, it starts to get away from the camera. And when he was on Joe Rogan, he described that it was like it was hovering above the water at first, and there was another like thing underneath the water that it was like corresponding with. Then it just shot up like out of nowhere. Like no startup, nothing, just straight up in the air, and they couldn't keep up with it.
Bro, the Go Fast video tells it all, because the Go Fast video, that's the one I believe you were talking about in the beginning when you opened the segment up. That Go Fast video, it shows the orb, and the orb is flying on top of the water. There's someone fires a missile and it splits into two. So at first you see one object, then you see it split into two. Then the back half is hit by the missile. It doesn't break and hits the water. It stays floating, following the main part. And then they both coalesce together and the thing goes underwater. That's not something we built here on this planet. So again, when I hear like some of my top, guys that I follow in the intellectual space, when I hear Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's one of my intellectual heroes. When I hear him talk about, well, when we find proof, and I hear, people like Anton Purvich that's always talking about black holes and space and stuff like that, and finding life on other planets, and they always try to relegate it down to finding life in frozen water. And you have to ask yourself, okay, then what's the Go Fast video? What's this? What's that? And what's that? If you're trying to tell me that life only exists in these small portions of water, and then you're trying to tell me the Permian theory, which then dictates that if there were aliens, more than likely they're gone and we won't see them again because it's too vast of the universe for them to travel and stuff like that. Then what about the Go Fast video and the video that Markydan just played? That completely, that's a real cognitive dissonant type of attitude and stuff like that, to whereas you're trying to tell me, all the intellectuals are trying to argue that aliens don't exist because more than likely they died off, and any proof of alien life we will find will be found in frozen water. But yet we keep finding these military videos, and the Japanese pilot who said the orb was a glowing ball, and then when a ball flew next to him, it was about the size of a city, which dwarfed the plane, and then it just took off. The Japanese pilot.
AC, my bad. Keep going. Well, I was just gonna say Neil deGrasse Tyson. I give Neil deGrasse Tyson right, because he gave a great analogy when people keep asking about is there life on other planets, or is there extraterrestrial life? He says for him to answer that question based on or for him to say that there is no life out there other than human beings, or intelligent life other than human beings out there in the galaxy or the universe, it would be like him taking a shot glass, dipping it into the ocean, looking in the shot glass and saying there's no whales in the ocean, just based on looking inside the shot glass. And I say that also to say only 5% of the ocean has actually been explored. And about less than 25% of the ocean's floor has been mapped with like sonar technology and all that. So with that being said, for all we know, like the theory or rather the story of Atlantis, could there be an alien society below on the ocean floor that we just haven't come in contact with? Could they be there? Could they just be there observing humanity? Could they be like I don't know, like a fucking an aquatic species of life, of intelligent life that traveled there from another planet, and they might have crashed in the ocean like maybe thousands of years ago, and they just been observing us? Could that be I don't know. All I know is you cannot hand wave that video I just showed. You cannot hand wave those other videos you just explained. And not only that, you cannot hand wave 11 different scientists who each in some form or fashion, they either studied anti-gravity or they studied extraterrestrial well, not extraterrestrial life, but they studied observing or excuse me, rather finding solar systems with planets that have water. That's what at least 4 of them were responsible for doing. And then another
The
5 of them were
exoplanets.
actually responsible for experimental labs on with different technology. All of
Yeah,
them
it's,
just couldn't disappear and then die prematurely. I'm not buying it at all whatsoever.
yeah, and
So
when you talk about the
give your thoughts.
exoplanets,
Then I want to give
yeah,
I want to hear what Rose T got to say after
yeah,
this
and this is my
huge
last thought.
information dump we just put on her. But go ahead.
When you talk about exoplanets, you have to go back to basically the 60s. There's an African tribe called the Dogon tribe, right? You had the best scientists in the world went to were doing a study on them because of the mass and the dance and their history, and they were telling these what they were calling incredible stories about a star system that exists within Orion's belt, and that's Sirius A, Sirius B. No one knew about Sirius A, Sirius B until the Dogon tribe put NASA onto it. So NASA and the world scientific community faced all of the telescopes, radio and everything. They faced it all towards Orion's belt and was like, "Hey, wait a minute! There is a binary system there. That's Sirius A, Sirius B. There is a dwarf star there that has a large exoplanet that has water on it that the Dogon was saying that's where their ancestors, humanity says. Guess what else comes from that same star system? All the Egyptian stories of Horus, Ra, all of the gods. This is why the pyramids are under Orion's belt. The 3. And if you look at it, you do an above search of it, you take how we mapped out the first computer chip. The way Egypt is, you overlay it's a perfect match. So all of this stuff that we're talking about, all of this technology and things like that, you cannot build the pyramids. MIT tried. All the greatest schools tried to rebuild the pyramids, and they failed. And then they find out that, hey, wait a minute, there's a lot of hydrogen there. So that's where I land that plane.
AC, and as I'm reading about the Dogon tribe, one of the things it says is that the Dogon the Dogon described the normal people, which their oral tradition describes as amphibious beings from the Sirius system that descended in a vessel to teach them about the universe.
Exactly.
I mean, Rose T,
and it goes back to what I said earlier that the major was talking about reptiles. He said that in 1950, in 54. The U.S. has identified a reptile civilization. The Dogon tribe then doubles down on it and then drops facts on it that says they came from this star system. And you will find an exoplanet that revolves around the smaller star. What did NASA find out? There's a smaller star and there's an exoplanet that revolves around that small star.
Man, Rose T, this was a huge information dump for you.
It was.
I know you don't believe in the conspiracy theories, but golly, me and AC, we believe in it. And now it's not even conspiracy theory. It's a lot of information that we draw our conclusions about. But go ahead.
Right. And it's only considered a conspiracy theory because there's no tangible proof, or, the tangible proof may be made to look crazy. So that's the only thing that makes it a conspiracy theory. Now, when you start talking about lizard people, that jacks me up just a little, because you got to remember, I am a product of the South. We are wrapped in clothed in the Bible. And so I was of the mindset that God made us here on earth. There is no other beings. It is just us. But as I've gotten older and gotten away from the Bible's teachings, and not completely gone, I still, love the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, all that. But, just more information has come in. I don't know that we are the only beings in the solar system. I think that is kind of the height of audacity to think it's just us, right? Kind of like how Americans think everybody should know English in every other country. So
Right.
Could there be something on another planet? Absolutely, there could be. I definitely need more evidence that will definitely take me there, right? But I'm with you that it definitely seems like they're hiding something. Somebody's hiding something. And whether that is beings on another planet that don't want us to know they exist, whether that is our government that is trying to make a master weapon and doesn't want it revealed, whether that's other countries that don't want us to, get the master weapon, whatever it is, something is going on. I can give you that. That's the one thing I can give you, that something is going on, but I definitely need to see a little bit more than just some light bright in the middle of the night that a pilot thinks he sees something dart across the sky, because we've made technology that can move super, super fast. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I need a little bit more than just some grainy photos.
So Rose, I'm gonna say this to you. There's an author. He's steeped in religion. He doesn't change. His belief system didn't change and stuff like that. He's devout to his religious beliefs. His name is Eric von Daniken. He wrote a book based off the Bible, he doesn't make any direct claims. He only asks questions. Each chapter is a question, and within that question, he asks more questions. It's, you know what I'm saying? So you pick up Eric von Daniken's book. That's the book that just broke me. Like, it broke my brain when I was reading it, because these were the questions I was asking as I'm reading the Quran, as I'm reading the Bible. You know what I'm saying? As I'm reading Leviticus and Ezekiel and all of these other things. And when I read his book, I was like, there is no way. And this is just me. I said, there is no way I can actually move forward in believing in this thing of God. And I was in a Muslim house. At that time, my name was Ahmed Abdul Rahim. I still speak Arabic. And I still have debates with pastors and stuff like that. When I went to Long Island and I went to Sunday school, which got me kicked out of Sunday school and stuff like that, because I was always challenging the belief systems. I did it with my imam when I went
questions.
Yeah,
they don't like you to ask questions.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So, it's just things like that, and that's the part that made it more susceptible for me to go down the path I went, because I just looked at the behavior based on what you're saying, and then there was the negative parts of it. When you talk to an atheist doesn't have hate for someone else because they don't believe what you believe. I'm not going to kill you because you don't believe, or unalive you, my mistake. I'm not going to unalive you because we have two different belief systems. When you look at some of the major conflicts of the world, the majority of them were over belief systems and or land. So for me, I just said, you know what? There has to be a peaceful way of existence. And how do you get to the mindset of a peaceful way of existence? You have to remove all the control mechanisms. And some of those control mechanisms are what you believe to absolutely be true. It's your belief system. And that's the hardest part. And we're right now discussing, which led to this point in this conversation, why did these 11 scientists over this course of time, who had several things in common, but there's one big commonality in what they were doing, everything had something to do with UFOs or UFO technology or something that was claimed to be taken from UFO technology. My belief in all the different or all the different alien species out there, that's because I understand. I look at panspermia. I look at all the different studies of exoplanets. You look at all the different variations of ships. You even if you are a religious scholar and you go into the text like heavily, they all speak of beings that came from the sky and taught somebody something.
So let me ask you, out of this Daniken, he's got several books. Now, my one girl, Quinn, did put me onto the Enoch. I haven't read that yet.
Oh,
but
that will blow your mind. That is an excellent book.
So would that be the one you recommend, or is there another one?
That's another one. I would recommend
What's the name of the book?
Gospel of Enoch. I would recommend the Gospel of Enoch after you read Chariots of the Gods. Chariots of the Gods is just the foundation.
Okay.
If you can get past Chariots of the Gods and just understand the questions and say, do I agree with this question? Do I disagree with this question? Then you'll say, okay, I think I'm ready to go from there, then to Hitchens, and then to many of the other guys' books. But do remember, after Eric von Daniken, some of the other authors, they make claims that, I wrote the book high on opium, or I wrote the book based off of me taking this journey with ayahuasca
LSD.
or whatever. And
see, that's usually when the revolutionary thoughts happen.
Exactly. And within that space, they said they saw things and messages came to them. And even in ancient times, ayahuasca and opium were tools used to reach the gods, to get on the god level. So in this era, they'll say, oh, these were drug guys and they were high on opioids and stuff like that. So you can't really take what they're saying serious, because these are all inner thoughts and you don't know what whether they were hallucinating or whatever. Yeah, you take that with a grain of salt. But then if you do the research on what they were saying that they took, then you might say to yourself, this is not sounding like a conspiracy. This is sounding like a clear-cut thought process to get to a certain plane. People drink. Some writers drink or drink coffee so they can stay in the moment, so they can keep that
Bob Marley smoked that. Bob Marley smoked that
weed.
spliff.
I smoke
weed. He said when he smoked that spliff, the whole world became quiet, and he wrote some of his greatest songs.
Exactly. Max Roach, Thelonious Monk. These dudes were doing heroin, and then they would just hear beats and percussions and sounds. They would see Miles.
There's a theory that human intelligence came from our ancient ancestors eating mushrooms.
Yeah, I believe that theory actually holds a lot of truth to it, because around the world, something was given to humans to consume. There are all of these stories that date all the way back to the Mahabharata. Talk about the epic tales of Gilgamesh, and all of these ancient writings that talk about the gods interfering with humans and human DNA. The woman, they don't tell you about Lilith, because Lilith in Hebrew text was the woman who looked at Adam and said, listen, bro, you cute and all of that, but you got to hit this thing right. If you getting your orgasm, I deserve my orgasm.
Damn.
That's what it's about. I actually spoke to her about
this. She ain't wrong, but golly. I didn't know women were that opinionated back then. Golly.
No, because that's the whole thing. That's where religion got it wrong. A woman doesn't come from a man. A woman is her own thing. The vagina is something that's God's greatest creation.
True.
You feel what I'm saying? When you really understand the text of the Holy Grail is actually the vagina, because it gives life. It also can move a person to take life. Men do what we do because of vagina. That's it. Nothing else motivates a man.
Facts. That's
So,
what motivated us to hunt. So
exactly.
Absolutely.
The whole thing of
niggas, I mean, just being honest, Joe AC, niggas probably wouldn't brush their teeth if they didn't like girls and vaginas.
That's my Hey, listen, this is why you get the haircut you get. This is why you live in a place you live. Everything is to attract a mate. What does that mate hold? Vagina. It's just like once I came to all of these different understandings and planes, I understood that, okay, listen, a female is not for me to subjugate. It's for me to share. I need to share in her intelligence. And for years, I didn't date anybody because I was like, my mind is broken. Because I think this way because I was raised by a man who had a strong belief system that women are there to do what you say. There are.
I do believe the Bible believes that as well, and I guess the Quran as well. It's a patriarchy, so I do believe they use religion just like they did with slavery to keep women subjugated and keep us, docile to the man. But there's a whole new sheriff in town because I would like to liken the woman to God because we do create life, so the woman is God and God may be a woman. However, you can't. We still have an abundance of bad things that happen just to women. So there's got to be some truth to the, Eve committed that sin and this is why we're being punished. Because
No, it wasn't Eve. When you go to the text of the Hebrews, which the Eve is based off of, it was Lilith. Lilith created the first sin, and that's because she wanted her orgasm. She got close. It never happened. She talked to Adam. Adam was like, nah, you just supposed to lay there and let me do me. He was like, okay, with that attitude, you ain't seeing me naked no more.
Right.
Adam then goes to God. Adam then goes to God and says, yo, God, what's up with shorts? She ain't trying to give up buns right now. What's up with homegirl? How did you make that? How did this happen? If we're supposed to move forward and have more children, how did that happen when she's arguing with me about an orgasm? So then God says, you know what? We're going to remove Lilith and we're going to give you now Eve. Eve is taken from you. Eve is your subject. Eve is supposed to listen to you. Eve was created because of Lilith. Once you understand that part about it, like I tell my missus, listen, embrace yourself, embrace your sexuality, embrace your orgasm. If I'm not living up to it, don't hold that in. Let me know.
That's because a good man, Savannah.
Right to yours, just like I do me. So this is why our relationship is the way it is, and it doesn't have to be based on that actual act of sex because we already have the understanding. But outside of that,
if Adam was a man, he could take some criticism and some pointers.
Exactly. Adam was a bitch ass.
He was a punk.
You go to your daddy and say, yo, dad, my girlfriend don't want to give me buns. What you gonna do about this, dad?
That's why Lucifer didn't want to kneel to that motherfucker.
Exactly, because he's a bitch ass.
A weak bitch like this.
He's like, yo, listen, you want me to kneel to a dude who can't even give a woman an orgasm? You 1 minute man ass bitch ass motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Like you small, like, yo, listen. That's why, for some atheists, we really look at, the way religion is based and the way people believe, up is down and down is up. If you really understand that, then you understand, maybe who you think is the bad guy is not the bad guy, because once you really look at what he was saying, he only told the truth. Even to Job, he was the one person that never lied to Job. He said, I didn't do this to you, Job. The dude you believe in.
God put all types of foots in Job just to prove a goddamn point.
He took your wife, He killed your kids. He killed your cattle. And he did it off a bet, Job. A bet. So listen, I'm just here to tell you the truth. Do you believe in that dude? Job says, well, yeah. Stockholm syndrome. What else do we call that type of behavior today? Stockholm syndrome. We actually have a medical term, a medical term for it. So at the end of the day, man, this is why for me and where I am, it's just like, look, I can look at these type of situations, and the thing like Sherlock Holmes used to say, that which is most ridiculous is more likely to absolutely be the truth, the undeniable truth. And when you look at that and you say, all right, that's written in a book from Sherlock Holmes, why does that resonate with me so much? Because you just can't deny that simple truth. And when you start to go down these paths and really find out, what does all of these people have in common? They all worked on something that had something to do with UFOs. And now all of them are dead. Same way you go back to Project Blue Book and the 10 to 15 scientists and other people that died in relations to Project Blue Book. And
Absolutely.
Marky was just trying to tell you, the program was designed to discredit all these reports that were coming out of UFOs. But then even the guy who had Project Blue Book was like, look, man, out of all of the reports that we found, like maybe one or two were not credible, but everything else, I'd have no choice but to believe these people. They saw what they saw.
Absolutely, AC. This was a great show. This is probably one of my favorite goddamn shows. We got off, of course, from your phones at the end, but I agree with just about every damn thing you said. Rose T, I love having you up here. Hopefully, we could do this again
Thank you, brother.
this Sunday. I got free time, so I'm gonna try to have a second stream this week. I usually promise that and never follow through, but again, I'm gonna try. Again, let me get your final words from you, Roasty. Then I'm gonna go to AC, and we gonna end off here.
Okay, well, Markydan, as always, thank you for having me. This was definitely very enlightening for me. I plan on playing this back, checking a part out I missed in the beginning. Also, re-listening to this scientist issue, because this is definitely, it's got my interest peaked. And AC, as always, you are a wealth of knowledge. I love listening to you, brother. You know what you know. I may not agree with everything, but you know what you know. And so I'm honored that you guys allowed me to be in your presence and just to soak up some of this knowledge and hopefully give you some of my own.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Much love, sis. What you got to say, OG?
Basically, I'm going to say it like this. Just to one of Rose T's comments. I often say this with my missus. She'll be like, oh, you think you know everything. And I say, you goddamn right I know everything. I know what I know and I know what I don't know. That's what makes me different, because I can actually admit it. So that's just my little joke with that, and people who get it will get it. Outside of that, it was a great conversation. You can maybe say it got off, but it was still within the scope of
It was, yeah.
Of understanding, how we get to the mentality that many people are not looking at the disappearance of these scientists in a way that they really should be. Like, this should be a 5-alarm fire, but many people will probably look at what they were involved in. Oh, it was aliens, and start making jokes about it and stuff like that, because once you start talking about extraterrestrial life and things like that and UFOs, you kind of become the butt of the joke, because everyone wants to believe at the end of the day we have a God who created everything and man is the greatest creation and stuff like that. So that's where the relevancy and the two overlap for me, because I understand that this is something serious with these scientists, but I do understand how the government and religious institutions keep their control. so you won't question the way you should question. And that's where I land the plane, man.
Absolutely. One of the famous stories, Galileo, who discovered or who discovered that the Earth rotated around the sun and that there were other planets. The church killed him off. So this is something that is very normal for human beings. I believe that these scientists were being killed off. I believe Miss Amy Eskridge definitely was killed off. I have no doubt in my mind at all whatsoever. I don't give a damn what anybody has to say. There is way too much evidence that this young lady was attacked, whether it be by a beam weapon, whether it be by our government who orchestrated her death to look like a suicide, whatever the case may be. I don't believe the official story out about all 11 people just dying or going missing. But this was a great show. We got into the Iran war, as we always do. We got into the tariff refunds of it all, the just absolutely predatory nature of this administration when it comes to milking the poorest of the poor, or rather the people that are not in the highest tax bracket. We got into Republicans being undercover fudge packers. We got into it all, man, and then we got into the UFOs and the dead and missing NASA scientists of it all. So this was a great show once again. If you're at Rose T's chat, please come over to the Democracy Briefing. Give your boy a like. If you ain't subbed yet, please sub. If you're in my chat, head over to Rose T's Political Perspective. She does her own live streams, which I hope to be on in the next week or next 2 weeks, whenever she does decide to do it. I'm always privileged to be up there. This was a great conversation once again. If you're hitting the playback, please like, please subscribe. Democracy 101 is at 410 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 500 so that I could apply for my monetization. Once again, please support your boy. I'm a young, independent content creator doing this thing the right way. I'm not up here showing my ass. I'm not up here just talking about stupidity. I'm talking about real things that really matter. I'm trying to, and me and AC and Rose T, we're trying to educate people on things that really matter, things that people really need to pay attention to. But once again, it was great having y'all up here, and I'm going to talk to y'all next week, man. Y'all take it easy, okay?
I don't condemn, I don't convert. This is a calling, have you heard? Bring all the lovers to the fold. No one is gonna lose their soul. Now all my days I've been searching, find out what this life is worth. Through the books I've looked, oh yeah, through time I've searched, yes. It's love, love is my religion. Love is my religion. Love is my religion. All we need is love. Say it again. All we need is love. Well, I don't want to fight you. Hey, let's go fly a kite now. There's nothing we can't cure, and I keep you in my arms for sure. So don't let nobody stop us. Free spirits have to soar. You know, with you I share this gift. This gift that we now know. Love is my religion. done searching now. Found out what this life is worth. Not in a book is it found. Oh my friends, it's all around. Yeah. I don't condemn, I don't convert. This is a calling, have you heard? Bring all the lovers to the fore. No one is gonna lose their soul when it's love. Love is my religion. Mama said, love is my religion. Children said, love is my religion. And every people say, love is my religion. Well, now I said it again. Love is my religion. All we need is love. All we need is love. All we need is love. All we need is